Hi, my name is Keanna Fisher. I am in Mr. Mackenzie's grade 10 English class at Oak Bay High School. Today I will be talking about the tragedy that is William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. Hope you enjoy. The play Romeo and Juliet, written by Shakespeare, is about two teenagers who fall in love. Romeo and Juliet is considered a tragedy because Romeo and Juliet commit suicide at the end of the play. The main conflict in the play is the conflict between the Montagues and the Capulets. Romeo is a Montague and Juliet is a Capulet. Therefore, their falling in love is forbidden. William Shakespeare is a timeless English poet and writer. Shakespeare was brilliant. He was popular because the printing press was created in 1974, which made plays more available for reading. At the same time, education was becoming more common, and people were learning how to read Shakespeare. Before Shakespeare's plays, most writing was in Latin, Hebrew, or Greek. Shakespeare introduced more English writing. Shakespeare had an approximated vocabulary of 29,000 words, while the average university student is 14,000 words. Shakespeare was a poet, and therefore he used many literary devices in his work, such as puns, figurative language, metaphors, and similes. Shakespeare created lots of expressions we still use today, such as, for goodness sake, heart of gold, wild goose chase, and star-crossed lovers. Many people believe Shakespeare was a fraud, but there really is no way of knowing if he wrote his plays or if someone else did. We do know that he stole ideas from the Bible, Ovid's Metamorphoses, Plutarch's Lives of Noble Grecians and Romans, and Holland's Chronicles of England, Scotland, and Ireland. William Shakespeare married Anne Hathaway at the age of 18. They had 3 kids named Susanna, Judith, and Hamlet. Shakespeare lived in Stratford-upon-Avon from 1564 to 1616. Shakespeare's troupe was called the King's Servants. 2 interesting facts about Shakespeare are, he never wrote his name the way we spell it, and Romeo and Juliet has been performed in 24 countries in the last 10 years. Shakespeare's theater was named the Globe. Flags hung above the globe in many different colors. There was one flag with a picture of Atlas carrying the globe that said, "All the world is a playhouse," which means it's just a story. The flag with Atlas on it hung at all times, while the other 3 flags were hung depending on what play was being shown in the theater. The white flag meant the play was a comedy, the black symbolized a tragedy, and the red stood for a political play. Everyone went to the Globe. It was a social event performed in the afternoons because natural light was needed. Seating in the Globe reflected a person's social standings. The extremely poor people sat on the dirt in the front of the stage and were called groundlings. The middle class got to sit on a cushion and were called the earthlings. The rich people sat on the levels of the Globe, while the wealthiest would sit on the stage. At the beginning of the play, the Montagues and the Capulets get into a fight. After the fight, the prince talks to Montague and Capulet. The prince tells them that if there is another problem between the houses, Montague and Capulet will be killed. The conflict between the 2 houses is intense, and the love of Romeo and Juliet is tragic. The passage I chose is Act 1, Scene 2, lines 106 to 119. It is an important part of the play because that's when Romeo and Juliet first fall in love and realize that they are from different houses. In the lines 106 to 108, the 2 lovers talk about how kissing is a sin. Romeo says, "Give me my sin again," and they kiss. Juliet then says, "You kiss by the book," which means Romeo is a good kisser. This is dramatic irony because while they are falling in love, the audience knows it's forbidden. Juliet's nurse comes and tells Juliet that her mother wants to talk to her. Romeo asks who her mother is, and the nurse answers, talking about what a great lady Lady Capulet is. In line 119, Romeo realizes that Juliet is a Capulet and knows they shouldn't have fallen in love, but it is too late. Act 1, Scene 2, lines 106 to 119 is an important passage because if Romeo and Juliet hadn't fallen in love, the Montagues and the Capulets would still be feuding. This is not the case because they did fall in love, which leads to a series of important events. Once Romeo and Juliet have fallen in love, Romeo convinces the friar to wed them. The friar agrees, and Romeo and Juliet get married. Romeo goes to tell Mercutio about his new wife, but he runs into Tybalt, who wants to fight, because he saw him at the Capulets' ball. Romeo refuses to fight Tybalt because he is married to Juliet, his cousin, so Mercutio fights Tybalt instead. Tybalt kills Mercutio, so Romeo kills Tybalt. The news quickly spreads, and Romeo is banished from Verona. Romeo feels terrible because he doesn't want to be away from Juliet, but he leaves anyway. Juliet is forced by her father to marry Paris, and she doesn't know what to do. The friar tells her to drink a sleeping potion so everyone will think she is dead, and she can live with Romeo. Unfortunately, the plan doesn't work because Romeo finds out about Juliet being dead and kills himself. Once Juliet finds out that Romeo has killed himself, she commits suicide. Their death brought together the two families to honor Romeo and Juliet. In conclusion, the passage was very important because if Romeo and Juliet had never fallen in love at the Capulets' ball, then the families would not have ended their feud. Romeo and Juliet is one of the most tragic love stories of all times because their love was forbidden, meaning they never should have fallen in love. Romeo and Juliet meeting at the ball is crucial to the play. Their love ended the conflict between the Montagues and Capulets. Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet shows the audience that true love can end all conflicts. Thanks for watching.